Welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Body Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Palmer. And if you're here, it's probably because you're a high performer, entrepreneur, or business owner that's interested in gaining unfair advantage in life using fitness and nutrition as force multipliers. If you're not already a part of the Facebook community, definitely go to n8trainingsystems.com/group. That's where we stream these podcast episodes live every Tuesday. You can join in, ask questions. There's a ton of cool stuff happening, as well as free resources, things to check out. So again, go to n8trainingsystems.com/group to join us there. If you're already in the group watching it live, we're super excited to have you because we're going to be talking today about how to get in killer shape, photo shoot shape, beach shape, summer shape in 4 months or less. Okay. So it just depends on your goals, what you're looking to accomplish. So let us know that you're here. And let us know you're excited to learn by just dropping a GIF in the chat, dropping an emoji. Let us know that you're pumped about and excited to be here. Before we get started, one of the things we like to do is give a shout out to the people accomplishing big things in the Million Dollar Body community. So I want to give a shout out right now to Jessie McAnally. She's been down 42 pounds in the last year, just absolutely crushing it. And one thing I like is, I don't know if you see, she posted in the group, was talking about how she thought it was all about weight loss. But what she discovered was that it's not necessarily just a bit, like weight loss itself was not as valuable as she thought, but the skills that she learned along the way, right? It kind of sounds a little bit trite, but the big thing was that weight loss in itself was not as valuable as she thought, but the things that come along with being in better shape, the energy, the sleep, the focus, the advanced neuroplasticity, all this really cool stuff is the huge win that we don't really see sometimes when we're in like got to get ready for a photo shoot. We got to just get a little bit leaner, try to drop that extra 3 pounds. We don't see the forest and the trees, all these amazing benefits of being in better shape, of being more physically strong, of being leaner and having less belly fat and visceral fat to carry around. So super excited for you, Jessie. Congratulations. I love your long-term vision on this and your progress. It's been amazing. So photo shoot. I did a photo shoot about 6 weeks ago. It was April 11th, is when the photo shoot actually went down. And I started prepping for this in December 26th. That's kind of when I started planning on it, because I realized that I just finished the book, the Million Dollar Body book. And so the Million Dollar Body Method that came out on February 1st. And I wanted to have some sort of like marketing materials and stuff to go along with it. So I figured what better way to do this than kind of finish out like a bulk that I've been on for the last 12 to 16 months, finish that out, and then start using some of the principles outlined in the Million Dollar Body Method book to get some results for the photo shoot. So kind of just like everything just kind of came together naturally. So I started, remember on December 26th was my first day of like getting prepared or whatever. So, run up on January by like 4 days. Gotcha. So in those about four months and 15 days or so, I dropped about 30 pounds. I think there's 31 pounds. I dropped 7% body fat. And I ostensibly gained a little bit of muscle. If some of these, like the metrics that like are the handheld, like body fat testing is to be believed. Okay. So it looks like I gained about 2 to 3 pounds of muscle in that time period as well. So basically what happened is I went from 240 pounds to 210. I'm gonna tell you about this. Is kind of exciting here in a second, and I'm not just trying to like read off a bunch of stats. I went from 15.3% body fat to 8.2% body fat, and like it wasn't honestly that costly. It wasn't that costly in terms of time. It wasn't that costly in terms of meal prep. It wasn't that costly in terms of energy or macro counting or any of those things that can be really annoying about dropping weight. And that's important. Okay. So there's a couple of things that are really important that I want to address before I get into the nitty gritty. Number one is that if you want to go keto, if you want to eat only tilapia and asparagus, if you want to eat grilled tofu and run 5 miles every single morning as a way to lose weight, that's great. You're going to lose weight. It's no problem. It's not that hard. But if you don't enjoy it, if you can't sustain it, if you burn all these bridges in order to drop that weight, you don't get to keep that. That is cheap weight loss. It does not stick around. And ask anyone who's done keto for an extended period of time. Basically, like you go keto, you start seeing these great results, and I'm gonna explain more about keto in a second. I know you've been really wanting that. So you get these great results, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I want a bagel. I just want a beer with some friends. I want to do something, and then you eat a bagel, and you're like, oh shit, like I just gained 6 pounds back off of one 12-ounce bagel. And obviously it's not, you're not gaining all fat from the bagel or whatever else, but it's just not a sustainable process. It's not sustainable to cut out an entire third of possible food groups. It's not sustainable to get up every single day and like force yourself into a death march in order to drop pounds. Not sustainable. So if it's not sustainable, you're not going to be able to keep it up. You're not going to be able to win. Your weight loss results don't matter. Period. So that's number one. If it's not sustainable, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to hold on to it, and you're probably going to do more harm than good in the long run. Number two, the other reason that I think this is so awesome, I'm so excited about it, is because I actually am fitter, leaner, and more muscular than I was 6 weeks ago during the photo shoot. So a lot of times when you see like fitness competitors, people like that, they'll get in shape, they'll dry it way down, and then like after a show or whatever, they rebound way back up, and they have these disordered eating patterns, and they have basically starved themselves, and now they're just sad and lonely, crushing Reese's on the couch just because they have been so deprived for so long. And that's not it either. Okay. So actually since the photo shoot, April 11th, I've actually dropped another about 0.5% body fat, dropped another like 4 pounds, gained a little bit of muscle. So I'm actually feeling better than I was. And I think honestly, I even look better, and I'm not even prepped right now. So I'll tell you a little bit more about how I got into that shape, what you can do to emulate that. And then also a big mistake that I made along the way. So you can kind of check on that. So the couple of things that I want to just make sure you know is like, this is not something that I would recommend that everyone just goes and does a crash diet getting ready for photo shoot condition. I want you to make sure that you're doing stuff correctly with long-term ideas, like keeping in mind long-term repercussions. So that way, when you emerge from a weight loss piece like this, you actually emerge with more insulin sensitivity, which means you're able to put on more muscle after the cut, which is really cool aspect of getting super lean. You can gain muscle faster afterwards, as well as making sure that you are able to sustain your results. It's not just like just like completely shit the bed and then you bounce back and rebound. Okay. So we don't want that for you. All right. So getting into the nitty gritty, some of the tactics, the techniques that I used to start this process. So basically just kind of coming from before this, I was eating generally whatever I wanted to. I was prioritizing some protein, not really stressing about it, eating dessert pretty much every night, like not really like doing a lot. I was eating kind of some muscle building or weight gaining shakes. So I was adding orange juice, 80 grams of carbohydrates from oats, 2 scoops of protein, and a bunch of other stuff to my shakes. So basically that's like 1 scoop of like a protein scoop is like 20 grams of oats roughly. So I was doing 4 scoops of oats, 2 scoops of protein in orange juice, creating these delicious like dreamsicle shakes, but man, they were high calorie, man, they were high carb. So at that point, I kind of just cut those back, and I started approaching this from a perspective of using the glycogen priming method. Okay. So in case you don't know, glycogen priming method is the science, kind of the overarching idea behind the $1 Million Body method. So we use the glycogen priming as a way of working with our body to get results. So we're kind of going in the same direction, the same line, rather than beating our head against the wall and like fighting our body to get results, just gritting through it, which I think we've all been there, right? You're like, this sucks, I hate it, and I'm just going to eat another piece of tofu because my trainer told me I had to. So glycogen priming method is an easy way to work with your body's natural biorhythms, circadian rhythms, and hormonal patterns to get better results faster. Okay. Just makes your life a lot better. Ask anyone who's tried it. They'll tell you, hey, it's not a diet. I just do this all the time now. It's amazing. So seriously, ask anyone who's trying glycogen priming. Ask them. So what I did is I started using glycogen priming. So basically what that looked like in practicality is I cut out carbohydrates in the AM. So stopped eating those super high calorie, oat shakes in the morning. And then I started cutting back on sweets after dinner. And I'm not going to lie to you and say like, oh, I just cut it all out. And I was like, good to go. I struggled for a bit. I did. I was just so used to like having a big bowl of cereal or like something sweet, we just like, especially at this point, my wife, Lindsay, was still pregnant. So she was like 7 months pregnant. She's like, you are seriously starting to cut right now while I'm 7 months pregnant. You are a rat bastard. She didn't say that, but she did think it at me. And I think that still counts. So I did the rudest husband thing on the planet. And she's like, can we get Dairy Queen tonight? And I was like, maybe for you. And I wouldn't eat it with her. So sorry, babe. It's rude. So I started trying to cut out some sweets after dinner, cut out carbs in the AM. Basically, that was the extent of what I was doing on glycogen priming. Glycogen priming's got a kind of a system of how you structure your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, which will make a little bit more sense towards the end of this podcast. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out, nate@n8trainingsystems.com, or leave a note on the live video here. So that's what I started doing from about December through about like end of February. Okay, so I wasn't incredibly strict. I was following some basic guidelines. Okay, the other thing was in terms of my training, I increased my training, but not like by doing more reps of bench press or doing other things. My like the actual workout program stayed the exact same. I didn't change anything with that. What I did do is I started the process of moving every single day. I prioritized bare minimum of a 20-minute walk after dinner. I just go with my daughter and take her out on a stroller or something. So that was really like, that's a key piece. And a lot of people miss that because they're like, yeah, walking, like whatever, that doesn't help. Everyone talks about walking on water. Boring. No, but it's super, super important. Makes a monster difference. So, and then it's also, if you live in Arizona and you go for your walks every single night with your shirt off, and you're like, well, I could probably stand to lose a few pounds. Really good motivation. So that was helpful for me. There's a story about how Arnold, you guys know Arnold, right? Heard of Arnold? Arnold was really concerned about his calf development and whether or not you think about your calves at all. This is still funny, but so instead of covering up his calves with pants or wearing sweatpants like I would do, what he did is he cut all the lower legs off of all of his clothes so that he was forced to show off his mediocre calves to everybody, and which really helped him kind of get in the space of like training his calves more and catching them up to the rest of his body. So I think of that sometimes when I think about like, is this something worth hiding and kind of like being ashamed of, or should I be like, no, I suck. Here's a way that I suck, and then put that on display so it forces me to address the issue. And although it's more painful, I do feel like the results come through. So fast forward to about end of February, about 2 months out, I started getting really serious about the $1 Million Body Method phase 1. Okay, so as the book was coming out and I was releasing the program and everything was kind of coming together in a perfect way, I started getting really serious about doing phase 1 of the $1 Million Body Program. If you don't know, it's basically broken out into 3 phases. Phase 1 is connect the dots. It's follow the instructions, do exactly what I say. Your workouts, your training, your nutrition, your shopping list, your supplements laid out for you. Don't deviate from the plan. Okay. Very, very cut and dry, which is amazing if you're just starting off and you're looking for some wins in month 1. Most people, it seems like in phase 1 of the program, will drop anywhere from it seems like we're seeing a lot of people dropping 10, 12 pounds, a lot. And most of the time people are saying like, I kind of cheated. I had a donut here. I drank a little bit of alcohol here. I didn't follow the program exactly. I didn't eat all the meals. And we're still seeing 10 pounds down. So it seems like 10, 12 pounds is kind of the average on month 1. So I followed the meals. I worked on making sure that all of my carbs were consumed after my workout, post-workout. And then one thing that I was always keeping a track of was my burn score. What's my waist height ratio? And you can get that. You can take a quiz and find out that information by going to n8trainingsystems.com/quiz. n8trainingsystems.com/quiz will get you to the burn score. So if you want to check that out. But making sure that like my burn score was in the ideal range, which means that I was insulin sensitive, and then I was putting most of my carbs in the post-workout window. Then I started adding in a 24-hour fast, which if you've done the $1 Million Body Program, you understand that that's one of our one of our weekly investments. It's something we do on a regular basis in order to take advantage of a lot of the cool stuff that comes along with fasting without having to do a 16-hour fast every single day. Okay. And a lot of this is a great, if you're a female and you're listening to this, this is the only type of fast you should really be doing, aside from maybe like 12 hours on, 12 hours off. 16-8 can be really detrimental for women long-term. It can interact, it can kind of push you into early menopause. It can mess with hair loss, insomnia, just it's all bad. So if you're like, oh, I've been doing it for 6 weeks, no problems. Just take a second, take some breath. If you want to do a little bit of research on it, because there's information out there from trainers who have been doing this or nutritionists who've been in the game for a long time. So don't listen to the person who's been like, I've been doing intermittent fasting for 3 weeks and it's awesome. Give it a second. I started a 16-hour fast in 2011 and I did it for a year and a half. So Not to say like, oh, I'm so smart, look at me, but I just been around. I've had enough data points, like empirically, to know that this can be a great fit for men. It can be a bad fit for women. Generally, entrepreneurs don't do great on this because of the big middle of the day meal. That's neither here nor there. So fasting once per week, about 24 hours. And there's a specific way we do this to avoid a ton of hunger signals, but also to get a huge return on our investment. Then training. What I started doing is I maintained my same training schedule, about 3 to 4 days per week. We're doing walking, the other days I was getting at least 20-minute walks. Sometimes I would try to get 20-minute walks even on training days. I try to do that most nights just after dinner. I think that the walking after dinner or after meals is really important for increasing insulin sensitivity, helping nutrient partitioning, increasing just like the ability for your body to digest your food better and preserve muscle mass. And then I added in 5-minute intervals or conditioning after my training. So, and then 1 day per week. So like if I was doing 3 days per week, I would do 1 extra day of like a challenging cardio. So that would be like rowing, stairs, walking with a weight vest, something like that. It's more challenging cardio. And then every single day, trying to get a little walk in, because walking is just the best. You get cardio and recovery all at once. Most cardio costs you, but walking actually replenishes you. It's bonus. It's magic. I'm not gonna let up on it. You've got to walk. It's amazing. Okay, so that's what I started doing in about February. All right, middle of March, kind of like a month out or so. It's kind of crunch time. So I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. I was a little bit heavier than I wanted. I didn't have the greatest like definition in my abs that I was really looking for. So I just kind of ratcheted this up a little bit more. So in terms of the diet, I added intensity to some of the fasts. And what I mean by intensity is you can either do like 2 in 1 week, so like a Tuesday, and then a Thursday. Take some time in the middle, like eat on Wednesday. Or I would do like a 36, 48-hour fast. I never did a 48 on this particular training program, but that's another way of adding intensity to your fast, just increasing the length, 36 hours rather than 24. The other thing I did is I tracked my protein. And I know I just said, oh yeah, I didn't have to track macros or anything else like that. Well, I did 2 days of tracking protein, 1 weekday and 1 weekend. And just to make sure that I was getting enough. And what I found is that I was getting about 30 grams less than I probably should have been getting. Because what we wanted to be doing, especially when we're in a deficit, especially when we're dropping weight, we want to be having about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Okay. Technically, it's like 0.88 will help you maximize muscle retention and building, but let's round that up to the nearest cool number, which is 1. So 1 gram per pound body weight. And that's not like if you weigh 250, you don't have to have 250 pounds. Like if your ideal weight is probably closer to 225. So I would do it like that. And then I also attempted to improve my post-workout recovery. So try to get more out of this, because I was eating less food and I found that like I was just getting more sore. I wasn't recovering as well as I should have. So what I did was I added in a couple of key supplements here for my post-workout recovery. So number 1 is leucine. It's an amino acid that can help with increased protein synthesis. So I take that directly after training along with 5 grams of leucine, 5 grams of creatine, and then I put even 40 grams of carbs in that post-workout window. So basically I'd have the leucine and the creatine together, wait about 30 minutes and have some protein and some carbs, 40 grams of carbs. Okay. And then in my training, about a month out, what I was doing is I was increasing my post-workout conditioning to 10 minutes up from 5. Or what I would do is if I was in a time crunch, I would increase the workload within the 5-minute time frame. So like, for example, if I was doing 10-second sprints on the Airdyne bike with 20-second rests, I would flip it. I would do 20-second sprints with a 10-second rest, which is more like a Tabata protocol. But if you quickly find out that like that's not enough rest and it's horrible. So for the most part, if you have the time, we want a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 work to rest ratio on those conditioning days. Okay. So not HIIT training where you're like jump squats, jumping jacks, burpees, all this stuff. You're actually giving yourself enough time to recover glycogen stores, recover like from a central nervous perspective in order to give your all on that next circuit, which is more important than being consistently tired. You didn't hear that? Check that one again. It's more important to give your all than it is to be consistently tired during a conditioning workout. So it's better to have 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 work to rest. So 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, or 10 seconds on, 30 seconds off even, I've even gone as much as 1 to 5. So I'll do 10 seconds on with a 50-second break for like 1 minute round intervals. But on that 10 seconds, you better bust that ass. If you're like, oh, I'm just going to get a little bit faster, well, then don't. Just get off the bike. Go lay down. Go cry. You like on something like that, you have to work, bitch. Brittany said it best. You want a hot body? You want a Bugatti? You got to get $1 million body. Think about it. I don't know if she said that or not. Okay. This is now when it gets really fun and exciting, is we started getting into like the 1 week out, right? So it's getting real. It's April 4th. David's texting me. He's like, are you fat still? And I'm like, yeah, probably a little bit. LOL. And then I go look in the mirror and I tear up a little bit. So at this point, there's a specific thing. So if you're taking notes, check this out, because this is how I get people ready for not $1 million body, Biggest Loser competitions, like photo shoots, or like beach vacations. And it's not like, oh my gosh, you're going to lose so much fat, because if you haven't lost fat in that 4 weeks ahead of time, basically you the 4 months ahead of time, you're not going to lose a bunch of fat in the last week. Okay. You're going to change dramatically how you look using some of these advanced principles. Okay. These are advanced principles. Don't get it twisted. This is not beginner level shit. So you're not going to lose a bunch of fat, but you can change how you look dramatically using some like carbohydrate and water retention techniques. Okay. So here's what you do. And again, your weight will change. Your body will change. You have not lost fat in this last week, maybe a little bit, but it's not significant. So during this time, what I did, I'll tell you specifically what I did. And then I can if you have questions on what you should do, like just hit me up, because it's going to be a little bit different. So I dropped my carbs to about 60 grams of carbs per day. And previously I've been eating somewhere in the ballpark of 300, 350 a day. Now, the reason for this is that carbs lead to water retention. So like I said, you're not going to be losing an appreciable amount of fat during this last week, but you can manipulate your water intake to help you look leaner. Okay. So like a lot of people think, oh, I just need to go on a low carb diet. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to. And even though I was doing glycogen priming, I was still having 200 grams of carbs, 300 grams of carbs at night for dinner. Like I was having big old meals, lots of rice, lots of potatoes. It was awesome, because you really need carbohydrates if you're fueling your body the right way, if you're working out the right way, if you're walking the right way. So if you're doing all those things, you don't need to cut carbohydrates. Carbohydrates don't dictate fat loss. What a lot of people do is they go keto for a minute and they're like, oh my gosh, I lost 10 pounds in a week. You didn't lose 10 pounds of fat. You lost 10 pounds of how your body is currently reacting to the gravity of the earth. But basically that's what's happening here, is the same principles that I'm taking advantage of in this flushing or water retention technique, which is basically every single gram of carbohydrates you take in pulls 2.7 grams of water into your muscles. Okay. So if you cut out all carbohydrates, you lose a lot of muscle or a lot of water weight. Okay. So going low carb is like, oh my gosh, I'll look at it. The scale's going down, but it's fake. It's fake and it's not sustainable. Okay. So I still did it for this because I wanted to look a certain way, but I just want you to know that cutting carbohydrates out as a part of your fat loss is not necessary. It's not. You do not need to do it. In fact, you need to be eating your carbohydrates, but in a very specific way to facilitate deeper sleep, to facilitate restoration and parasympathetic nervous system dominance, to facilitate recovery, to facilitate better training sessions. You need carbohydrates for all those things. Anyways, I increased my water to about 2.5 gallons per day. So this is days. So like if my photo shoot was on a Sunday, so this was like Monday through Thursday. So like the first 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I did it like this, the same thing for the first 4 days, 60 grams of carbs, 2.5 gallons of water per day. I also ditched all of my steady state cardio. I was walking daily, probably for about 30 to 60 minutes at that point, split it up if I needed to, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes there, didn't matter. And then all of my carbs, all of those 60 grams of carbs were all in my post-workout window. So I would empty my glycogen with my training, do my conditioning, and then have all my carbs then. And I didn't have very many for dinner unless it like fit with the timing somehow. 2 days out. So now we're talking about Friday. Friday, I increased my water to 3 gallons. Okay. And then I did a fast this day. But where the only thing I was taking in was protein shakes just with water, nothing else mixed into it. So just protein, making sure to maintain the amino acids I had, maintain my muscle mass, not stress about too much about any carbohydrates or anything else. So like it was like a 0 carb day essentially. So that's what and that was a day where I just did walking. I did not train that day. Now this is fun. This is where it gets really fun. So now it's Saturday morning. I wake up. I've been having 3 gallons of water. And now on Saturday, I decreased the water to a half of a gallon. And here's why, is that when you're taking in 2 gallons of water, 3 gallons of water, you're starting this flushing protocol. So the whole week, it was really great. I was peeing all the time. I peed 15 times a day. It was so much. My pee was always clear. So like, white people like that. We look at the pee and we're like, it's clear, so hydrated. Really good job, Tim. So that was my whole week up until Friday night. So Saturday decreased the water to half a gallon. I stopped drinking water after 3 p.m. or I should have stopped drinking water after 3 p.m. Now what happens is you're getting your body into this flushing mentality. We're flushing all the water out. We're peeing all the time. And then you pull the water. Well, your body's still flushing. So we're just going to get like drier and drier and drier and drier with your like your body and your skin, because you don't have any more water like in your stomach to flush out, but you have water subcutaneous water underneath the skin, water between your muscle and your skin. And so that will start to flush out. So you'll look bigger and more defined by doing this. Okay. It's another way of like decreasing your weight on the scale. Not fat though. So this increases your fluid flushing and improves your vascularity, improves your leanness. Okay. I avoided salt or high sodium food. I didn't put any salt on anything that day. And then this is crazy. I increased my carbohydrates that day to 300 grams, up from 60. And here's why. If you were paying attention earlier, I told you that eating 1 gram of carbohydrates pulls 2.7 grams of water into your muscles. So now, like, I've been flushing all the time. I'm peeing out all the water. I don't pee at all on Saturday, but now I'm having all these carbohydrates. They're all going into my muscle, and they're pulling as much water as I have remaining in my body into my muscles. So I'm actually getting more muscle size, more muscle definition, and my muscles look leaner because there's less between muscles in the skin. So it's kind of like a bodybuilder, like physique athlete manipulation trick. Okay. Again, this is not fat loss. This is not real life. This is just prepping for yourself for looking good on a specific day. Okay. And if you're trying to be like, I'm just going to do it for a week. Yikes. Don't. Okay. So the morning meal, I had a protein and then some like sugary carbs. So I had some fruit. Okay. And then I had 4 more meals that day. For meals 2, 3, and 4, I had proteins and then a starchy carb. So I would either have rice or potatoes during that time. And then my 5th meal, because I wasn't really looking completely full at that point, what's great about the 5th meal is Saturday night before your photo shoot on Sunday, you can have kind of whatever you want to. Doesn't matter. Carbs, have some carbohydrates, have some protein, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I had a donut. I had an apple fritter, basically just to try to help, again, just get more glycogen in my body, more to the muscles. That ended up being a bad choice though. And here's why, is because I just said, I tried to cut out sodium and salt. I didn't salt anything, but goddamn, I was so thirsty that rest of the afternoon. And when I ate the apple fritter, there's obviously a lot of salt in that. I wasn't even thinking because of, the water deprivation. I was so thirsty. I was just thinking about water the entire rest of the day. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I drank like 30 ounces of water. And I kind of screwed up because before I went to bed, I was looking in the mirror and I was looking at I was probably one of the leanest looks I've had in a long time, because I was, dropped a bunch of weight and also had done this deprivation thing. So I was looking super, super lean, super vascular. And then the next day I woke up and I was not anymore, not quite as good, not quite as much, because of I ruined some of the progress I had made with the water. So bummer, something to live and learn. But if you're doing this, just keep in mind that maybe a donut, maybe something with like a lot of sodium or that's sugary, fatty, and salty is not the best call for that 5th meal. Yeah. Also Taco Bell, not the best call for that 5th meal. Okay. So the only rule in that 5th meal is that just don't get full. Don't feel like stomach tension. Don't get bloated. So if you're like, dairy sometimes messes me up, don't have dairy. Okay. We're trying to come in looking a specific kind of way, not like bloated and sad. Okay. All right. So the next day you wake up and you're like, man, I am thirsty. So all I had for breakfast was a protein shake and some fruit. Again, some just simple sugars to try to avoid having too much water, but also continue to fill the glycogen stores in my muscles a little bit. And then I didn't have any liquids up until the shoot, which was at 1 o'clock. And right before the shoot, I had a big cherry Coke, a full sugar soda. And I felt crazy. My brain felt so crazy. I haven't had a soda that wasn't mixed with alcohol. I haven't had a soda since 2008. I've not like no one's. I've not had like a big glass of soda or a can of soda since 2008. I remember the last time I had it because I was in Ohio selling books door to door, and she was like, I was like, Mrs. Jones, you want to buy some books? And she was like, nah. And I was like, you got a soda for me? And she was like, sure. She gave me a Coke. I was like, this Coke is so good right now. It tastes like cinnamon. I feel like Coke tastes like cinnamon and Pepsi tastes like vanilla to me. I don't know. I could be making that up. But I remember that Coke, and I had not had one since then because why would I? That's disgusting. Don't do that unless it's with alcohol, and then live your life. So, and the reason for that is that a couple of things. Number one, fit, ripped, muscular doesn't always mean healthy, y'all. You can look a certain kind of way and be crushing apple fritters and cherry Coke. So, like don't like there's a spectrum, and it's fitness on this side, like wellness on this side, and they do intersect. But just know that like your non-GMO like baked good thing over here is like, oh, it's got a lot. It's like it's really good for you. It's got a lot of nutrients in it. Like, but that shit's 600 calories, and even if it's from date solids, I don't care. Like, it's not. It doesn't help with your fitness. Similar, like I said over here, fitness maybe looks like having a cherry Coke before you go do your photo shoot. Not healthy. Not a wellness thing. So just keep in mind keep the goal the goal. What's your goal? If your goal is to look ripped, then yeah, you might want to drink a soda. If your goal is to like, I want to be healthy and live to be 100, you probably shouldn't have soda, So just a kind of, it's all about balance, right? So then had the full sugar soda, cherry Coke. It was delicious, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. And then for my training, all I did was I tried to get there a few minutes early before the shoot, and I just did a little bit of pump sets with some medium weight concentric moves. Okay, so I want to drive out some of the glycogen, but I don't want to like do any muscle damage. I didn't want to tear anything down, so I was doing a lot of like band work, some band pumps where it's not like so hard to drop the weights. I'm not doing any deadlifts. Basically, when you're pumping up for a photo shoot or the beach, y'all, chest, shoulders, arms. It's hard to get too much of a pump in any of those areas. Legs actually look better when they're unpumped and lean. The more pump they get, the less definition you have in your legs. So pumping the chest, shoulders, and arms is always a good call. So push-ups, y'all, push-ups, guys. But you don't necessarily need to get like a bunch of squats going, okay? So, and then we did the photo shoot. It was really fun. I had a great time. David Blakeman is a consummate professional. So if you're in the Tempe area, you want to check him out for sure. He did an amazing job. Got some great shots. But I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you, that I did not come in my most optimal condition, which I thought I had hit about 18 hours before on Saturday night. I thought I was like on point, and just I think I screwed it up with having the extra water. I kind of undid that work. So disappointed about that. But the thing that I'm very proud of is that the results didn't fall off, and I didn't regain any lost weight. In fact, like I said, I'm down another 4 pounds and 0.5% body fat, and I'm actually eating more than I was during the final 2 months. So my eating's relaxed a little bit. But what happens is when you get into a really lean condition, your body starts adapting by becoming more insulin sensitive, which makes it easier to gain muscle. It makes you more like anabolic. It makes you easier to utilize protein, like get the protein synthesis going. So like after you work out, your body's more likely to use that protein in a way that benefits your muscle growth. I also am pretty much having dessert, not every night, but every night that I do it, like I have a training session or on the harder days, I'll have something. So whether it's like a piece of fruit, some dried fruit, granola, I pretty much killed a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch the other night. Not the whole box, but like I'm being a lot less rigid right now, and the body fat is either staying like where it's supposed to be, or even dipping just a little bit. So the training sessions have kind of gone back down in intensity, and my recovery's gone way up because I'm hitting more carbohydrates, feeling a lot better. So if you're in the place where you're like, man, I would like to get some of those results. I want to drop about 30 pounds, want to get down 7% body fat. If you want these results, if you want these recipes that I used, if you want the shopping list that I literally went out and like purchased stuff. So I got places like you can just like, I got 3 basically: shop at Costco, shop at Trader Joe's, or shop at any other restaurants. Just write shed fat in this, send me an email. It says shed fat, and Nate@n8trainingsystems.com. Drop it on the live video if you're watching it live here with us. But and then Matt or I will get back to you and kind of tell you exactly what you need to be doing to make sure you get those, like, to get those results. Okay. Because this is not like, this is a long process, right? 4 months is long, right? But like, it's not insurmountable. It's not 2 years. And then also it's sustainable. So it's not something like that you're going to be like, wow, I did that. It was so hard. And now I'm rebounding. You're going to actually learn a bunch of new tools in terms of how to stay at that weight and just live in that zone, right? Like, one of my big things, one of my first books I ever wrote that, I think I sold 3 copies of. Thanks, Michael Groschow, for buying one. It was called Lean for Life. And because that's just the idea, is that, like, you don't want to have this conversation 2 times. You don't want to be like, how much time do we waste? Like, how much time is like, that person who's like, oh man, I've been struggling my weight for blank amount of years. People have been struggling with their weight for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We need to take care of this shit and move on. There's a lot of things that are great about being in shape. We talked about, like Jesse earlier, like sleeping better, feeling better, more energy, but all those things lead you to be a better version of you, better person at your job, with your kids, with your family, with your friends. It's not like, oh, you're being in shape and now you're suddenly going to like everything is going to change for you in your life and it's the best. But what it does is it just gives you a bunch of freedom now to utilize energy in a way that's not necessarily thinking about, oh man, I don't like the way I look. Oh, I should go on a diet. Oh, I should not eat that. And just have this constant track going in the back of your mind. So a little on tangent there, but basically what I'm trying to say is that, like, let's not have this conversation again. Let's fix it one time and let's move on with your life, because you got other stuff you need to be doing. It's important. So if you want the recipes, the results, the shopping list, training programs, everything else, just send me a note that says shed fat. Drop it in a live video, send me an email, put it on Instagram, whatever it is. I want to make sure that you have what you need. Okay, guys, just remember, like, no matter what happens, no matter what program you decide on, no matter what training program you're doing, you really can't lose if you don't quit. You can't lose if you don't quit. So keep it up, keep working hard, keep pushing. If there's anything I can do to help you out, let me know. Have a great, amazing day. I'll talk to you soon.